A situationship.
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 Situationships. Do you have any opinions on them, or do you know what they are?
No, I do not know what they are.
Yeah, we do not know that much at all, I'll be honest.
Yes, of course.
You're lying in bed, staring at a text thread that hasn't moved in 3 hours, but somehow you still feel like you are in a relationship you're not allowed to claim. You laugh at the same jokes, share dinners, send late-night messages, maybe spend weekends together. You know their favorite takeout order, the name of the dog they had when they were 7, and the specific way they sigh when they're stressed. You have shared secrets, maybe even shared a toothbrush once when you stayed over too late. But if someone asked you right now, who is that person to you, your throat would tighten. If you have ever said, "We are not together, but he texts me every morning," this episode is about you. In short, it lives in the gray area between casual and committed. The key isn't what you do together, it's what you don't define. You aren't single. You are definitely not taken. You are in a space that didn't have a name 20 years ago. But today, it defines the romantic lives of millions. There is no label, no boyfriend, no girlfriend, no future plan. Yet, you are something. You are not friends, not quite partners, not quite strangers. You are in a limbo. Welcome to the era of situationship. According to 2024 Tinder report, there was a 49% increase in users adding the term situationship in their bios. It's not just a buzzword, it's a structural shift in how we connect. This is the story of a modern connection millions of people know all too well.
I like being on my own. Relationships are messy and people's feelings get hurt. Who needs it?
A phenomena, some call it love, others call it chaos. But it has a name now, situationship. And it's turning the way we think about dating. It is the Schrodinger's cat of romance, a relationship that is both alive and dead until you dare to open the box and define it. It's not that you don't know what you want. It's that you have learned to want what doesn't ask too much of you. I'm not here to tell you if it's toxic or empowering. I'm also not here to give you 5 steps to get the ring. We are here as observers. We are going to look at the cold, hard data, the sociological origins of this liminal space, and why the human brain in 2026 is wired to find comfort in the undefined. Grab your coffee or your wine. Let's go into the gray.
You two been together?
Oh, we're not.
We're sex friends.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
They're friends with benefits. Buddies.
Great Scott.
Let's start with the what. What exactly are we talking about? The Cambridge Dictionary finally gave in recently, defining a situationship as a romantic relationship between two people who do not yet consider themselves a couple, but who have more than a friendship. But a dictionary definition is like looking at a skeleton and trying to understand a person. The lived experience of a situationship is more complex. Research published in Sexuality and Culture suggests that situationships are characterized by 3 distinct pillars. 1. High emotional intimacy. This isn't just physical. You talk, you support each other. It's a romantic or intimate connection that exists outside of traditional labels. 2. Low structural commitment. There is no we in the future tense. Share time, but no meeting the parents. A bond that is more than friends, but less than a committed partnership in the traditional sense. 3. The assumption of transition. Usually at least one person believes this is a waiting room for a real relationship. Sociologist Elizabeth Armstrong from the University of Michigan notes that we are currently witnessing the death of the relationship escalator. For decades, dating was a series of steps. Date 1, date 2, date 3, exclusivity, engagement, and then marriage. The situationship is the first time in modern history where people have collectively decided to just sit on the stairs.
What's wrong with what we're doing? It's working. We don't have to fight. We don't have to...
Maybe I want to fight.
Yeah, well, I don't.
What are you gonna do? You're never gonna feel anything?
I don't need you to take care of me. I take care of myself. That's what I do.
How did we go from going steady to it's a situation? It wasn't an accident. It was a perfect storm of economics, technology, and psychology. If you search back through culture, relationships without labels absolutely existed long before the word was coined. People always had entanglements, unclear connections. They have always had emotional and physical bonds without formal commitment. The linguistic origin. The term was popularized around 2017 by cosmopolitan writer Corinne Ashey. She described it as a hookup with emotional benefits. But the concept already started brewing in the late 2000s. The term situationship rose to wider public use in the late 2010s, first appearing frequently in articles, relationship blogs, and particularly as dating apps became dominant in how people meet and connect. Before that, descriptions of similar dynamics existed. Friends with benefits, no strings attached, casual dating. But situationship described something in between those categories, a connection with emotional involvement, but no clear roadmap forward. The rise of the term didn't create the behavior, it named it. Think about the world Gen Z and millennials grew up in. Economic instability, the rise of the side hustle, and digital nomad lifestyle. We live in a world where everything is on demand and no contract. We rent our apartments, we lease our cars, and we subscribe to our movies. Sociologists argue that this contract-free mindset has bled into our hearts. Why sign a contract on a human being when you can have the premium subscription without the cancellation fee? Then comes the paradox of choice. We have to talk about the apps. In 2026, the endless scroll isn't just for TikTok. It's for partners. When you have 10,000 potential matches in your pocket, the opportunity cost of committing to one person feels higher than ever. In cities like Bengaluru, 43% of young Tinder users reported that the situationship was their current dating preference. Research shows the endless scroll feature actually triggers a dopamine response that makes us value the search more than the find. A situationship allows you to keep the search active while enjoying the benefits of the find. It is quite literally having your cake and eating it too, while keeping a gluten-free option in your back pocket. Neuroscientists now call it uncertainty addiction. Your brain releases more dopamine from a maybe than a yes. According to surveys from 2024, about 60% of American adults surveyed said they have been or currently are in a situationship. Among younger adults between the ages of 18 to 34, around 50% of them said they have experienced a situationship. Another poll found about 39% of all adults have been in such a relationship, with that number rising to 50% within the young adult cohort. These figures show that this dynamic is not a fringe curiosity. It is a mainstream way people connect and date today.
When I'm with you, I feel so alive, and I feel so special. But that's because it's all possibility. We're not in a relationship.
Let's look at the why. Why do people stay in a state that the data says often leads to higher level of anxiety? It comes down to attachment theory. In a 2025 study on label-fluid dating, researchers found a fascinating correlation between attachment styles and the longevity of situationships. The avoidant. For someone with the avoidant attachment style, a situationship is a safe zone. It provides the closeness they crave, but offers an exit sign that is always lit. It's intimacy without the threat of being trapped. The anxious. This is where it gets interesting. You would think anxious people would hate situationships, but the data shows they often stay the longest. Why? Because of the intermittent reinforcement. Maybe they love me, maybe they don't. Acts like a slot machine. This uncertainty creates an obsession that feels like passion. Then comes what psychologists call the sunk cost fallacy. You have spent 6 months in this gray zone. You have shared your trauma. You have watched 3 seasons of a show together. To walk away now feels like a waste of investment. So you stay, hoping for a pivot to a real relationship that the data suggests only happens in about 15% of cases.
I like you, Tom. I just don't want to release.
Well, you're not the only one that gets to say in this. I do too. And I say we're a couple. God damn it.
Texting, emojis, social media likes, and instant messaging create a form of interaction that feels connection but doesn't require the emotional risk of saying, "What are we?" Many people today frame their 20s and early 30s as a time for exploration of careers, cities, identities, passions, rather than immediate commitment. Together, these trends have created fertile ground for connections that are intimate yet undefined. On social media and in cultural conversation, TikTok hashtags around situationships have hundreds of thousands of posts, each offering personal definitions, stories, memes, and reflections. Content creators explore it as a dating trend, a life stage, a cultural marker, not just a relationship type. What's striking is a range of narratives. Some experiences described freedom and excitement, others confusion and emotional complexity, but all share that core element of ambiguity.
I feel like they're okay. Sometimes they last way too long though, because people are like too scared, I guess.
Kinda, I feel like it's when people don't really want to commit to someone, so they find comfort in that person, but they don't want to like explore more because they're scared of having that commitment, or it's just like, I feel like it's very modernized nowadays.
Doesn't make sense, and I wouldn't do it. Relationships without a label, do you think that's like okay, or do you think that's a little strange to like have a relationship with no label?
No, I don't think it's strange. Okay.
Interestingly, while situationships are often associated with younger generations, data suggests that older generations have also experienced undefined relationships without calling them that. In one survey, baby boomers reported experiencing situationships at surprising rates, around 45% compared to 32% of Gen Z respondents. This suggests that the phenomena isn't solely a young person trend. The fact that the word like situationship exists and is widely shared reflects a culture that is thinking critically about connection, less willing to assume traditional labels, and more aware of nuances of intimacy. So where are we now? In 2026, we have moved past the shame phase. We are in the pragmatic phase. We also are seeing a massive communication gap. 43% of women wait for the other person to define the relationship, whereas 48% of men hold back because they don't want to seem too much. The result? 2 people sitting in a room, both wanting more, but both terrified that saying so will break the spell. But there's a new trend emerging: intentional situationship. Some people are entering these arrangements with their eyes wide open. They are saying, "I'm finishing my PhD, I'm moving in 6 months, I cannot give you a forever, but I can give you a right now that is deeper than a hookup." Is it better? It's more honest, but the human heart isn't always as logical as our calendars. You cannot schedule when oxytocin decides to show up. From a fun chapter to long-lasting entanglement. And what does the future hold? Will situationships continue to define modern romance? There are several possible threads. They could remain a common pattern as the dating choice remains abundant. They might evolve into a new form as the communication technologies and social norms changes. Or they could fade from conversation as a fad and a new term take their place. If we look at the trajectory, the situationship isn't a fad. It is likely the new first stage of dating. In the 1950s, the first stage was meeting the parents. In 2020s, the first stage is the undefined 6 months. We are moving towards a world of relationship fluidity. The binary of single versus married is dissolving. We are seeing the rise of casual exclusive, poly-curious, and committed but separate. From an unbiased viewpoint, the situationship is neither a disease of modern dating nor a pinnacle of freedom. It is a tool. For some, It is a protective shield, a way to experience connection without the risk of total life collapse that comes with a traditional breakup. For others, it's a holding pattern, a way to avoid the hard work of building a life with someone. People in situationships report lower overall relationship satisfaction than those in the committed ones, but higher levels of excitement and hope. Think like this. It is a high-risk, high-reward startup of the dating world. Some go IPO and become real companies, and most crash and burn. But for a few months, the valuation feels infinite. In any case, situationships are a mirror, showing how people today make sense of intimacy, expectation, and connection in environments that are faster, more complex, and more digitally connected than ever. Whether someone has been in one, knows someone who has, or has only encountered the term online, situationships have become part of the way we described modern human connection. They are not a new invention, but the language and awareness around them are. Maybe in 50 years, scholars will look back in this era as a turning point in relational language, an evolution in how we talk about love, commitment, and ambiguity. The gray space is a place of infinite possibility, but also a place where you can easily lose your way. Breakup of a situationship, ending something that wasn't even real, can sometimes hurt the most. I'm your host, Isha. Thanks for listening.